Hello, one and all. It's my view of My Hero Academia, chapter 348, Unrequited. And while it is great to see a character grow and improve to become more than they once were, it's also just a lot of fun to get a reminder that character still is who they always were. They are still who they were at the start of the series, deep down in the core of their being. For example, despite all of Deku's triumphs, he is still a god-dang nerd. And as a result, when a girl confesses to him, even though she is a sadist who is trying to steal his blood, he is so utterly and completely flustered that he nearly gets himself killed. Oh, Deku, I love you. I love you. And this does actually make quite a bit of sense. I mean, let's not forget, for the first 15 years of Deku's life, he was mocked, braided, beaten, and insulted over and over again for believing that he could be a hero even though he didn't have a quirk. And even though he now has a quirk and is one of the strongest people in the entire world, in his mind he is still that quirkless loser that nobody could ever love. And so now they get to confession, he's, embarrassed, but also kind of happy about it. He's kind of proud, like, oh my god, a girl could like me. Wait a minute, why would a girl like me? I'm Deku, for God's sake. And honestly, I kind of thought that Deku managed to overcome his fear of girls when a couple chapters ago he was nearly crushed to death, and yet still managed to maintain his composure. But nope, in this chapter, after Toga's confession, even though she's trying to murder him, his response was, boyfriend? Like guy you take to the amusement park for a date? Who you hold hands with? Who you split a crepe with? Oh god, Deku, you are so innocent, you are so pure, and I freaking love it. I love you, Deku. And unfortunately, Toga is still who she always was. I mean, I was hoping that her love for Deku would be a bit more pure, a bit less, let me suck out all your blood and kill you kind of thing, and more like, let's just be together forever. But no, it seems like all she really wants from Deku is to take out all of his blood so that she can become him, so that she can love him by being him. Actually, now I think about it, I kind of wonder if Toga wants to become the people she loves because she's incapable of loving herself. That would actually make quite a bit of sense. But either way, when Deku rejects her confession, she gets sad. Really just overwhelmingly sad, because it's basically Deku saying to her, I don't understand your form of love. Your form of love is different from mine, and therefore weird. I mean, Deku's not actually saying that, but that's how she's hearing it. She's hearing just what her parents used to say. Why can't you just be normal? Why can't you just act like a normal little girl? And just finding out that even Deku, even the person who is so willing to accept anyone, is unable to accept her, unable to acknowledge her for being who she is, it just breaks her. It just utterly and completely breaks her. And so she decides that because the world rejected her, because the world refused to recognize her as a real person, refuses to recognize her feelings, her thoughts, her interpretation of love, then she will reject the world. She will destroy the entire world alongside Shigaraki. That's all she can really do at this point. And then she comes very close to murdering Uraraka, but thankfully she's stopped by Froppy. Yay! Though honestly, I kind of wish Froppy had waited just a few more seconds, because Toga was about to say, after all, you and I both fell in love with the same guy. I mean, Deku's dense. Deku is overwhelmingly freaking dense, and as this chapter says, a goddamn nerd. But still, I would have so loved to see his reaction to, basically hearing Toga proclaim that Uraraka is in love with him. I mean, would he believe it? Again, he's a nerd, so I feel like he'd be like, wait a second, are you saying two girls are in love with me? What am I, an anime protagonist? That'd be insane! That would have been fun. That would have been a lot of fun. But thankfully, Froppy stepped up and reminded Deku, Deku, don't forget, we kind of need you to fight Shigaraki. You're the only one in the entire world who can actually stop him. The only person in the entire world who actually poses any kind of threat to him. So why exactly are you fighting Toga here with us? Why aren't you running off to go, help the fellow heroes? To go help Baku and Beshinus? Why are you still here? Which is a good point. A very, very good point. Once again, Froppy proves herself to be the smartest person in Class 1A. Huzzah! But anyway though, back to this chapter, we get another chance to see Toga's first love, who does actually bear a rather striking resemblance to Deku, and like Deku, was covered in blood when Toga saw him. Yay! That's her Prince Charming. That's all she ever wanted in a guy, for him to be covered in blood. And I'm actually really curious what happened to this dude. I kind of feel like we're going to flashback where, after Toga tried to drink all of her classmates' blood, I mean, I don't think it was this guy's blood, but I feel like, someone else's blood, her friend's blood. Then she went after the classmate, tried to confess her feelings to him, and he probably, really, really rudely rejected her, called her a monster, and, then she stabbed him, sucked all his blood, and ran away. I am fairly certain that that is how her first love story came to an end. Though I am certainly curious, I mean, she always says, I want to suck your blood, let me suck your blood. What if someone said yes? What if someone just lets Toga suck their blood? I mean, would she suck all of it out, or would she, drink in moderation? She's been a member of the League of Villains for quite a while at this point, and she hasn't sucked any of them dry, and yet she has blood from some of them at least. I mean, I'm not actually sure about that. Did she suck the blood of her fellow League members? I would assume so, since they're her family. They're the ones she cares about, but not sure about that. I mean, oh god, above. Did she suck out any of Shigaraki's blood? Because if so, that would be dangerous. Really overwhelmingly dangerous. I mean, I'm not even sure if her body would be able to take on all the powers of Shigaraki. Shigaraki needed months of surgery to be able to fully wield the powers of All For One without destroying himself, so yeah, I kind of feel like that would be a suicide move on her part. Though she does still have twice his blood, which is a problem, a very, very big problem. Though as Froppy said, Toga is the most unpredictable one out of all of them, so that's why they decided to put her on this island 200 kilometers away from everyone else, to make sure that she couldn't interfere, to make sure that no matter how crazy she got, she wouldn't be able to interfere in the battle against Shigaraki, even though that plan kind of failed when she grabbed Deku and dragged him with her into the portal. I mean, good plan, bad execution. And just, oh my god, I love this page. As we see Toga get swallowed up by this wave, and then just completely and utterly disappear. I mean, even beyond her ability to hide from danger sense by trying to kill with kindness, her ability to cloak her own presence completely and utterly is so amazing and so terrifying. Seriously, she is a goddamn assassin! And like most assassins, she had a tragic background. Like I said before, her parents beating and berating her, saying, why can't you be normal? Why can't you be normal? It basically led her to believe that the world didn't actually view her as being a real person, with real thoughts and feelings and a real way of viewing things. I mean, that's not much of an exaggeration. They don't view her as a real person. They view her as a monster, as the vampire queen. As the spawn of a demon, she's a monster and she needs to be taken down no matter what. Oh, and also, now the spikes around her neck are rocket-powered, which just lets her cut up everything in her path, which, dangerous. Really overwhelmingly dangerous. As she's basically able to attack Uraraka from both the front and the back at the exact same time. And, actually manages to cut her. Though I'm not really sure what happens after that, because, she made Uraraka bleed. That definitely feels like it should be relevant. But right after that, Uraraka said, better get the knife, and it seemed like Toga dropped the knife when she was kicked by Froppy, so I wonder what's going on with that. I mean, she has a knife in her hand in the next panel. Is it the same knife that cut Uraraka? I mean, it looks like it might be a little bloodstain, but if so, I'm not sure how she managed to get it back in her hand. I mean, I definitely think that at some point in this fight, Toga is going to turn into Uraraka, and it's going to be Uraraka versus Uraraka. I mean, that could be interesting. That could be really, really interesting. I'm very excited to see that. But anyway, though, then Froppy berates Deku for chatting about romance when the fate of the world's at stake. And it seems like he then decided to run away. Like he's literally running on the surface of the ocean, which is not something I thought he could do. I mean, he can float, so I guess if he uses the float quirk and then just, steps really quickly, he'll manage to push enough air to propel himself forward. That makes some sort of sense if you're completely ignoring the laws of physics. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense here. Yay! But please, let me know what you think about all this down below. Do you think that Toga managed to get any of Uraraka's blood? How is this fight gonna go? Froppy and Uraraka versus Toga. Especially if Toga can turn into, Uraraka. That becomes a three-dimensional fight that is gonna be very exciting to watch. But let's not also forget that Toga still has twice his blood, and can turn herself into an army of twices, which would be bad, very, very bad. I mean, her being on an island seems like the best place for her to be, where they don't have to worry too much about her, wiping out all of Japan. But she could also, turn herself into so many copies of Twice that she literally causes a tsunami and wipes out a good part of Japan. That is also concerning, oh my. Though there is another possibility, definitely a weird one though, but Okay, I'm not actually sure if I believe this. I want to throw it out there. What if this actually isn't Toga? What if this is a copy of Toga she made from using Twice's blood and then using Twice's quirk to copy herself? So she sent a copy of herself to the island to this encounter with All For One, while her real self, her real being, waited back in Japan so that, just as it seems like they've won, just seems like they've actually managed to defeat Shiraki, All For One, and everything else, then Toga will be able to step forth, use Twice's blood to turn into him, and just create an army of sad men that can just wipe out everything. That does make some sense, maybe? Not sure about that. Oh, and what'd you think of Toga's confession to Deku? Do you think you should have said yes? I mean, Toga is pretty cute. She's a bit psychotic, yes, but I feel like if you'd actually, fully accept her, she wouldn't suck out all your blood. She'd be happy with just, some of your blood. That way she can keep drinking the blood forever. Yay! Everybody wins! But let me know what you think of all this down below, and until next time, peace!